In my last video, I tested the new Misen Nonstick Carbon Steel Pan. The out-of-the-box experience with the nitrided surface was excellent, and the results didn't disappoint. I was left with the question, how was this pan going to stand up over time? So I went to work. I started using it as much as I possibly could. Fairly quickly, I was getting less than excellent results. I was doing everything that I thought that I should. I was following the recommended seasoning process or maintenance process from Misen, but my eggs were sticking much more than I expected they would. Using the pan, I found butter worked better than oil, but oil is my preference. On all of my other carbon steel cookware, I use either a very thin olive oil or a grapeseed oil to cook with, and my results are excellent. So I was still kind of perplexed what was going on here. So far, this Misen Nonstick Carbon Steel Pan had not met my expectations, so I decided to dig in. I spent a load of time trying to read about what was going on with the pan, other people's experiences, reviews. Misen on their website has a ton of reviews. They have 4.9 out of 5 stars. And so this is where I thought that I would have information that would help me understand what I was doing wrong. I couldn't find anything through the Misen website to help me understand what I was doing wrong with the pan in their care instructions or any of their FAQs, and especially with any of the reviews in which they had that were overwhelmingly positive. There were a couple of kind of 2s and 3s and 1s, but they really looked like people that just didn't understand how to use the pan and not people that were actually having the experience that I was having. So I was still left with questions. I was wondering where I was getting this so wrong. I was trying to get good results from this. I was trying to understand how the nitriding surface was to help my nonstick like it did out of the box, and how I was supposed to be going forward. I understand how to season a pan, but I was trying to follow the recommendation from Misen, is use the pan, just start using it more, and over time they say it's supposed to get better. This is kind of like the one and done seasoning method in which I've talked about many times on this channel. You can just start seasoning with a pan and over time it should improve. And that's what they had said that was supposed to happen, but I wasn't getting the nonstick results that Misen had marketed to me. Their marketing was full of nonstick carbon cookware, that I was going to be getting nonstick results. Definitely out of the box, but now quite quickly into using this pan, and I've used it dozens and dozens of times, it should be building some sort of a seasoning. I'm not getting the results that I kind of expected, that I would feel I was sold by Misen. So I needed to dig even deeper. So I ended up on some Reddit feeds. I don't spend a lot of time on Reddit, but there's a lot of very passionate people that do spend a lot of time thinking about what I like to think about. I don't know why I don't spend more time there, because it's very, very, very interesting. People go very, very deep. And there were quite a few people that were experiencing exactly what I was experiencing and questioning the pan generally. And I found this interesting, so I started to peel more of this back. So throughout the comments in Reddit, I was finding the same thing. This pan was sold as a non-stick carbon steel pan. It was something better than anything else that had been made so far. Very bold and highlighted as being a non-stick pan. And so far I'm finding this pan is no different than any other carbon pan. And to be completely frank, this is a very, very lightweight, short little stubby handle, fairly cheaply made, kind of crappy Chinese pan. Like, it's something you'd probably pick up at the hardware store that usually comes with like a Teflon coating that you would spend maybe $19 or $15 or on sale for $9.99. Like, it's a pretty garbagey little pan. It works fine, but it's nothing special. The special thing here is that it was supposed to be kind of everything in one. No maintenance with the nitriding, non-stick out of the box, just kind of set it and forget it, just start cooking with it, and it should give you excellent results. That was really what the marketing promise was, and so far I'm seeing others, and especially myself, not getting what we were promised. So on the Misen site, they've sold millions of dollars, it seems, worth of these pans now. They massively overshot their Kickstarter campaign. They are getting massively high reviews, 4.9 out of 5 stars on their website. And they're getting excellent results from a pretty, what I find, mediocre pan. And I think I know quite a bit about this type of cookware. So like, how is this happening? I'm not totally sure what's going on here. So then out of the blue, I receive an email from a viewer, from somebody who watches my YouTube channel, and somebody that I've heard from by email before. And they were like, hey Jed, check this out. I wanted to make a review on this pan, on this new Misen nonstick pan. And I wanted to, say this of what was going on with it and let people know. And I posted to the Misen website as a review, and my review wasn't posted. He seemed really perplexed, but this was an aha moment for me. So I've been in sales and marketing of cookware for over 30 years. I know the industry. I have dealt with companies that have been not completely straightforward in the past that I've talked about in this channel. And this was something that was a bit of a red flag for me. So I looked deeper at Misen. I understand the sales platform that they sell on and the tools that are available that create reviews and that sort of thing. And so I started to dig a little bit into this. So what this could be is that Misen uses a review program on their Shopify website that allows them to throttle their reviews. So it allows them to just only post reviews over 4 or 5. And they get a choice if they post anything other than that. If this is what is going on, this is false advertising. This is misleading. This is fraud. This is a fraudulent way to behave. So, and this is documented clearly within Canada and US that if you do mislead people within the representation of what you're offering, you have publicly available reviews and you are throttling, that is fraudulent. That is very straightforward. And this is what very obviously could be happening, but I wasn't sure. But those that watch this channel know that I absolutely hate misleading advertising. If you're selling your cookware and you need to put your thumb on the scale to increase your sales or sell it in any way, that is completely wrong. And if you're doing it, you should be called out 100%. Okay, but one guy who I'd heard about from the past, I know this guy, I'm sure he was telling me the truth of what he did, but it's just still one person telling me. I didn't know for sure if this was going on. So fortunately, I have the pan. I know my experience with it. I could do a review. So that's what I did. I went to the Misen website, created an absolutely truthful 2-star review. I posted the review and I waited and I waited and I waited and I'm still waiting. That review didn't show up. I did though get an automatic response from Misen from my 2-star review saying, hey, we saw you got a 2-star review. Tell us what's going on. I then got into a back and forth conversation with one of their agents who was just trying their best to something very scripted to help me along to understand how to season a pan. I questioned how this pan was supposed to be seasoned as much as they're saying when it's supposed to be nonstick out of the box and be a fairly automatically nonstick pan. And they basically told me that I didn't understand what I was doing and that I should just season it more and it needs more seasoning. Really kind of being counter to what this pan was sold to me as, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Like they're saying that I should just make this nonstick pan nonstick by seasoning it. So why did I buy a nonstick pan? I'm still really confused. But I wanted to be fair, right? Like I did one test, 2-star review, didn't get posted. 5-star review. I did have an excellent result. As I said, out of the box, this pan, it was nonstick. As soon as I started using it, out of the box experience was excellent. So I made a 5-star review. 5 stars, box out of the pan out of the box was excellent. That review got posted instantaneously. Immediately, it went straight onto their site. Here it is viewable and no problem. So they are absolutely 100% throttling this message. They are keeping the negative reviews from being visible and they are only posting high reviews, 5s, and they have their token 3s and 2s and 1s here, just a couple that really don't really say anything negative anyways, just to show, hey, we're balanced here. We've got a 4.9. We're not perfect, but we're almost perfect. So this is where we're at. Misen has made a fairly mediocre nitrided carbon steel pan that they have marketed as a nonstick pan. This pan out of the box was incredibly nonstick when I first started using it. More so than any other pre-seasoned carbon steel or cast iron pan that I've ever used. Misen says that they use a corn oil finish on their pan to protect it in shipping. That's very standard for a lot of carbon steel pans. But if this is a nitrated pan, why add anything to the pan before you send it off? And this is a big and, if these guys are doing something to the surface, and we know the way that they're behaving with their review system, which is completely misleading and dishonest, how do we know that what they put on the surface to create that first immediate response out of the box to be so nonstick, how do we know that it isn't something that they're not telling us? How do we know that it doesn't have some sort of a chemical finish? How do we know this isn't some sort of a garbage nonstick coating on this thing? If they're gonna lie to us about their reviews, how do we know they're not lying to us about everything else? So why do we have to have companies that are trying to rip us off? People that buy pans like these are just wanting cookware that is good quality, meets their needs, isn't toxic, will last a long time, and all of a sudden we're being taken advantage of. So why do we have to have companies like this trying to rip us off? People just want a good quality pan that isn't toxic, isn't heavy, lasts a long time, the maintenance is low, and does all the things that a good quality carbon steel pan can do, but there is that need of like, hey, can you make it easier? These guys saw that opportunity to market something that is very, very questionable, and they created a lie, and they are actively covering that lie. So, Misen people, I know you're watching. Shame on you, and shame on your deceptive tactics. You've taken advantage of people, taken their money, and sold them a lie. People deserve better. Your pan is not a non-stick pan. This is just a standard, everyday carbon steel pan with nitriding. And that's all that it ever should have been marketed as. There is nothing about this pan that is different from anything else. You didn't create something different or new. And this pan is actually a really shitty, low quality carbon steel Chinese made pan that is absolutely nothing different than what's already on the market. It is no different. You have to create a seasoning layers on this pan to create a true long-term non-stick surface, which I'm sure can be done if it was marketed that way. But this confusing mumbo jumbo non-stick thing isn't helping anybody. All you're doing is creating more problem in the marketplace when really pans just need a simple message. Looking after a carbon steel pan is not hard, and trying to sell something that isn't what it is misleading and fraudulent. So you've lied about this pan, you're a bunch of liars. If you think that I'm not telling the truth, if you think that I have said something that is not correct about this and that I am somehow defaming you, then please come after me. For all of you that have bought one of these pans, if you're happy with it, that's fantastic. This pan could work great, seasoned well, it's gonna go on forever. It's pretty low quality pan for what you paid, I'm sorry, but it is nothing wrong with using this pan going forward. It could be totally fine. But Misen does offer their money back within 60 days. If you feel that somehow this isn't the pan that you were sold and you want your money back, reach out to them, get your cash, return the pan.